All right, welcome back to another esports video. We're going over interview between the coach of AL Anyone's Legend over Eastern Dominance. So, yes, teams grind sleep. Which right now, only one Western team's left. TLDR, LPL coach Tabe, who's been there 3 times. Um, up to 15 practice up to 15 scrim games daily plus late night solo queue. Western teams lag not just in practice hours, but also in having coaching, relationships, and honest feedback. The gap between East and West keeps growing as Chinese and Korean squads stick to their grueling routines. League of Legends coach Wong Tabe Pak Khan has pulled back the curtain on intense practice regimens that separate top Chinese and Korean teams from their Western counterparts. During a revealing interview with European analyst Marc Cadrel Lamont, the current Anyone's Legend coach detailed the exhausting daily routine that has helped Eastern teams dominate the international competition for nearly a decade. According to Tabe, AL Anyone's Legend teams typically run 3 scrim blocks daily, with each block consisting of roughly 5 games. That adds up to around 15 practice games per day before players even touch solo queue. The schedule is brutal. Players wake up around noon, skip breakfast, and immediately begin their first scrim block after lunch. Teams play 15 games a day in addition to solo queue grinding late into the night, Tabe explained. The schedule into late night and early morning hours, with second and third meals taken at 6 p.m. at midnight. The grind-heavy approach is a sharp contrast to what most Western teams put themselves through, with fewer scrims and bigger focus on work-life balance. Tabe didn't hold back when asked what Europeans need to fix, saying they were missing the mark on basics like communication, laning, map awareness, vision control, and decision-making. The gap between regions isn't just about putting in more hours, though. Tabe pointed out that his style is all about building connections with players, having real talks, making sure conflicts are sorted out the right way. He thinks reviewing scrims and learning from them matters just as much as the grind itself. What stood out to me, what stood out was how much effort Tabe puts into bonding with his players and having real conversations. Cager said during the interview, the way he builds trust and opens up discussions on every part of the game really matters. Eastern dominance in League of Legends is nothing new. Since 2013, China and Korea have won every world championship, with Western teams sometimes making a decent run but never quite getting over the finish line. This year's MSI saw T1 from Korea gap the trophy, while Western teams couldn't keep up. Western teams have tried copying the Eastern grind, but mostly hasn't worked out, Tabe said. That's because players never really bought in, and coaching connections just weren't as strong. Not because they practiced less. No days off, no problems. The fearless draft system used in Major League demands even larger champion pools from players, which means even more practice on top. Tabe said his system just makes the gap even bigger between the regions grinding all day and those who aren't. Even though there are always worries about burnout among fans and Eastern Way keeps getting results. Western teams get ready for Worlds 2023. Wait, what? That's 25. Tabe's thoughts are as a pretty clear wake up call for how much community it takes to really measure up on world stage. Wait, yeah, that is. But I guess they just got they got that wrong. Okay, I mean, that's. Yeah, I mean, last time we saw a Western team do well was 2018, and so far it's just been lower bracket. Maybe, I mean, FlyQuest, I guess, was the closest, but that was them not really doing their own. But I do agree with this. You know, relationship between them where they can, trust you enough where they, and so that's why it's been dominant since basically 2019 was the last was the last time a Western team won anything. So from 2020 to 2025, it's been Chinese or Korean every time. And it's just, and I guess until any other Western figures out how to do it, it'll stay that way until, they figure it out. But that's to be for today. If you like videos like this, Johnny Smaller related videos, K-pop, MADEIN related videos, subscribe, like the video. Your thoughts on, the coaches reveal of why East is always winning in comparison to, NA and EU. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.